Justice Hunters has been so bad, even the OCG doesn't want to deal with this anymore. Make sure you guys smash, leave, and crap under that subscribe button so you guys don't miss out on more content. So, Justice Hunters has left a little bit of a sore taste in some players' mouths out here. Especially when you look at the OCG right now. I've read a couple of interesting little discussion points out here from OCG players that are just fed up with the amount of power creep that this set has brought to the game. And it's been a little bit frustrating out here that you've already seen, you know, a couple of locals getting canceled because they're not hitting the required amount of attendance for players to want to come in and play because of Justice Hunters. Now, this is all going to change as the next couple of sets start to unfold out here. One thing that I think that the TCG did out here was we did a little bit of a flipperoo out here. If you notice, we're getting Duelist Advance before we're getting Justice Hunters. It's the exact same thing that happened the opposite of in the OCG. The OCG got, you know, Duelist Advance after Justice Hunters. But the problem with this whole scenario is Justice Hunters power crept the format a little bit worse off than I would feel that Ryzold did at their time of impact, which is a little bit souring to see. You know, Dragon Tail has just been... Dragon Tail's been so much further ahead of the curve out here. It's actually kind of freaky to see, because I didn't think that Konami would design a fusion-based archetype that was just free advantage, free chicken nuggets, that you would just be cultivating these free pluses. No, nobody really ever sat here and went, how can we power creep Fallen of Albaz? No, that was never on our agenda out here. But Konami said, okay, we can go ahead and handle this out here. We can go ahead and power creep this stuff. That's crazy to me that Konami managed to do that. But, you know, when you're getting into that level of power creep, everybody, of course people are going to be a little bit weirded out. Now, the big thing about this is, pre-Duelist Advance, the deck was able to use Magistus branded, Shaddoll invoked. You take your package, or your decision of which sub-engine that you wanted to use out here that you would be able to incorporate into the deck and to find success with. Any of the real options that were available, as long as it was a fusion package that you could generate advantage with, yeah, go to town, man. It just depends on what you wanted on your flavor of end board. So, yeah, I get it. I get why a fusion-based deck that just does not give a crap about what your opponent wants to do. You check Shifter. This reminds me very much of the time in the OCG that we saw Dweller get banned, and the explosion of Orcust hype that you saw. I'm sure most of you guys remember that, right? Where you're just like, where in the hell did all this Orcust come from? And, you know, it was a list kind of check and kind of calm down a lot of the meta out here. And then all of a sudden you're just like, what's going on here, man? Well, it's because everybody's like, oh, you know, we can get our free chicken tenders. You know, we can get our free advantage. There's no reason at that point not to want to take advantage of the meta, especially if Dweller goes, yeah, of course people are going to start to play that, all right? Now, what about Yummy? Well, Yummy, I always say this, but, like, I heard so many people going, well, Yummy's such a broken deck, you know, like, you can do so much. I still have Yummy FTK sitting here, all right? Like, this pile of cards, all the normal monster vanillas in here, I still have this pile together because I think this deck is freaking funny. All right, that's just, it's one of those ha-has that you kind of have a laugh at. But the deck was supposed to be the best one. Unironically, it has fallen out of glory for more or less Dragon Tail at this point. It still shows up. You know, it's probably, you know, next to Malice, it and Yummy are probably your second and third best decks in the room. So that shouldn't be all that surprising to be seeing, right? Like, one competitor is going to be taking over the other. Yeah, that's how it actually goes. And then, K9. Okay. So, we took a look at K9 and we all kind of had the initial thought of, oh, okay, like, so it's a rank 5 deck. Cool. What we have been seeing here, though, has been so much more. with the Canine package. The Canine package has been splashing its way into the other decks out here because it's anti-hand trap material. All right? All three themes are good in their own rights. And I have a feeling out here that when we get Justice Hunters on our side of the game, you know, we're not too happy about the current state of Called by the Grave and all that being gone. But what if Konami braced us for this with the Canine cards? What if Konami said, hey, you know, we understand, but we're going to make a brand new string of monsters here that are going to be able to be used and be able to explode, combo up, do all this crazy stuff with, and then you're just like, oh, okay, yeah. Anti-hand trap rank 5 turbo that just goes, oh, hey, you did something from the graveyard or from the hand? Sure, just go ahead and zoom in this, drop the 1, rank 5 search, set the quick play, you know, anti-Nibiru, check myself. Yeah, it's real fair out here with this. Am I happy to see it, though? I will say that I have enjoyed how the OCG has been using the Canine stuff in a lot of the rogue decks. I just sat down and I just play-tested Dragon Maid with Canine, so that, you know, you could kind of anti-hand trap protect yourself a little bit. You know, you're not going to get blown out ass hard by, you know, the hand traps and things like that, but it gives you a little bit more of a body to ensure that, you know, once the first hand trap comes down, you're basically able to buffer yourself and have that protection so you can do your thing. It just ensures that, you know, the second hand trap's not going to blow you out of the water. And that's kind of good. And I don't think that Konami wanted these cards to affect the NAWCQ in the way that they're kind of rippling through the OCG right now. This hasn't been every case. A lot of the reports that I've read from people not being happy about Dragon Tail is typically what you see in a lot of these scenarios. You know, the next big power creep happens, you're left in a situation that you're like, holy crap, you know, this is rough, and then you've got to go spend all these new cards because Konami blows up the previous deck build pack. It's interesting to see that Konami is actually using the deck build packs now to actually power creep the meta again. I remember we had a couple of these deck build packs that were so dog shit that nobody wanted to buy them. And if your players aren't buying your product, then you're failing the consumer base, right? I mean, I'm sure certain people's wallets are extremely happy out here about not having to drop money on more product. Yeah, that's good, but you want to sell sets to get the community involved with this. You can't keep printing 25th anniversary sets and going, oh, hey, look, alternate arts. Ooh, it's not possible. So if you're upset about what's to come, and you've already seen some of the OCG tournament results, and you're kind of frustrated like some of their player base is, we know that this level of power creep was coming. This is going to be the same story that we saw with Ryzel and Malice. How history tends to repeat itself out here. If there was anything I would recommend right now with this level of power creep, I'd probably save money together for Justice Hunters to have a case of this set, because you already know probably August on what you're going to be dealing with out here with this level of power creep as you're going on in to, you know, the fall and winter chunks of time out here. It's going to be a rough fall, if I had to guess out here. I would say probably once K9 touches down, because the thing is, post-Duelist Advanced 2, we're going to have all the power creep stuff present in the meta with Dragon Tales. We're not going to get to try the half-baked turbo power, you know, edition with Magistus and all that, because we're immediately just going to power creep it and go to the Mysterion monster, and there's not going to be that phase of exploration we're going to get, you know, shocked out of, because the TCG and OCG did the switcheroo on the releases for this. And I don't hate the idea of this. TCG likes to use core sets to change up the NEWCQ season. They like these seasons to be, you know, something new. And I don't hate that idea. I think it's quite refreshing, actually, that we can see, you know, these shift arounds and see that players are getting excited out here with these changes to the meta. So I hope that we don't go through what the OCG's been going through with players being upset about this, but I wouldn't be surprised, because we whine and cry way more than any other community does. So we'll have to wait and see. But all right, so please, comment down below, tell me what you guys think, and I'll see your beautiful faces back later today, guys.
Patrons!
Thank you.
Thank you so much for watching. Check out these other videos.